Hello and welcome back, and today I've decided to do something quick and easy, that being Aliens vs Predators on the PS3. As opposed to Alien vs Predator the movie, Alien vs Predator on the PS2, Alien vs Predator on the Atari Jaguar, etc, etc. I didn't expect much from this game, but hey, it had to be better than Aliens Colonial Marines. The game takes place on another planet with a forgettable name and number, where Weyland-Yutani is once again messing around with xenomorphs. Although this time they've broadened out to also messing with ancient ruins built by the Predators. Anyway, Weyland opens a tomb that he shouldn't have opened, releasing a blast of blue light into space that not only knocks out the power letting the xenomorphs escape, but also sends a message to the Predator that their sacred ancient site is being tampered with. Following the expected attack of the xenomorphs, a bunch of the survivors managed to get a message out to the Colonial Marines to hunt down the xenomorphs. However, as soon as the Colonial Marines arrive, one of their ships gets shot down by the Predators, who have also arrived at just about the same time. And the planet has turned into a four-way turf war between the Marines, the xenomorphs, the Predators, and Weyland-Yutani's android security. The game has three campaigns. The first, where you play as a rookie marine killing xenomorphs and androids. A second where you play as an alien called Subject 6 by Weyland-Yutani's scientist who manages to escape to do xenomorph things. A third, a predator who's been sent to the planet to kill those that dare desecrate their sacred lands, hunt some xenomorphs and reclaim the ancient artifacts that lie within the ancient tomb. The gameplay varies depending on which character you're playing. The Marine is mostly your standard first-person shooter affair. He has a bunch of guns, in this case being... The weapons the game gives you include a handgun, the iconic pulse rifle, a shotgun, a sniper rifle, a flamethrower, and a minigun that auto-targets enemies. Only the sniper rifle has an aiming function, but the other guns have their own unique alt-fire option. And while the handgun is always equipped, there are always two empty slots that you can fill up with other guns, but you can only carry a total of 3 guns at a time. Except if you're wielding the minigun that takes up 2 slots. You can also collect health packs with a maximum of 5 on you at a time that you can heal yourself with at any point you choose. There's also scattered about audio logs that give you a bit more information about what happened at the facility. Next you have Subject 6, the Xenomorph, who is a bit less aggressive than the Marine, as you don't really have any ranged abilities as far as I can remember. So instead he's a lot more stealth based, sneaking through vents, hiding in crevices, climbing up and along walls and ceilings, which can give you a bit of motion sickness if you're not careful, and generally catching your enemies off guard. And while the Xenomorph's health does regenerate, he can also get extremely quickly gunned down by enemies if he's not careful. And lastly you have the Predator, who feels like sort of a midpoint between the two, as he has plenty of gadgets to either fight enemies hand to hand from a range or stealth options. He also has his iconic infrared visor, can lure enemies by making fake sounds, and has the power to jump to high places. And all your characters need all those skills to fight off the enemies they have in this game. The primary ones are xenomorphs, spitting xenomorphs, Colonial Marines that are basically just your standard people with guns, and the androids, which are basically the same as the Marines but a bit more tankier and harder to kill. You also fight Predators too, but they're primarily as boss fights in the Marine and Xenomorphs campaign. Along with the campaign, the game also has a survival mode as well as a dead multiplayer mode, which is a shame because fighting against these different characters with very different play styles in multiplayer would have seemed like a pretty interesting idea. The graphics are okay for a game of its time, not very outstanding but also not bad enough to be of any specific note. The aesthetics and designs of some of the levels can be a bit bland at points, such as some caves or the Weyland-Yutani facilities, while others are a bit more interesting, such as the Xenomorph hives and the Predator ruins. And now it's time to talk about the music, with Music Meister here to give you a bit of an overview. The majority of the game's soundtrack is built around soundscaping for the areas you're playing through to help sort of give them the appropriate atmosphere. There are also some character themes, such as Subject 6's being somewhat mysterious. There's some iconic clicking you can hear in some of the soundtracks to sort of indicate the predators, as well as lots of drum music involved combat situations involving the Marines and that sort of thing. The boss themes also have this sort of intense, repetitive vibe that gets faster and faster as it goes along. Also, Club Hive is one soundtrack that's quite fun and has an energetic dance mood for it, since it's set in a club that's been taken over by xenomorphs. Overall, I say this game soundtrack is good at sort of giving the right atmosphere to the situation it's trying to create, but it's not exactly something that I would go out of my way to buy the soundtrack of. This game is alright, it's okay, not really outstanding that much. It did have some cool ideas, but they were sort of squandered by the short length of the game, as well as the reuse of levels throughout the 3 campaigns. This game is definitely the most middling Aliens game I played. At least it's certainly better than Colonial Marines. And it had better frame rate than I did when I played Alien Isolation, although that was probably because I was playing it on a shitty laptop. I would say I would recommend this game, but if you do want to get it, it's probably pretty easy and cheap to get at some second-hand store. Well, that's all for me. And tune in next time where we cover another game that's based around alien life forms and a dead multiplayer.